I'm Brian Zinchuk of PipelineOnline.ca. I used to be a pipeliner and I've spent the last 15 years reporting on energy in Saskatchewan. PipelineOnline.ca provides comprehensive coverage of light oil, heavy oil, lithium, helium, power production including coal, wind, solar, geothermal, natural gas, and nuclear. There's a lot happening in Saskatchewan's energy sector, and Pipeline Online is there for all of it. No one else comes even close.
Local people. Local news and events. Local sports. Local matters. For all things Lloydminster and area, this is Live with Kurt Price.
Hey, welcome into Wellings of Lloydminster. My name is Kurt Price, of course, and we are set up in one of their beautiful villas here at Wellings of Lloydminster at 3211 72nd Avenue, and you're invited to come down today for their open house. They've got some snacks and some cold drinks, and if you've thought about taking a peek into Wellings, now is a great day to do so. Once again, 3211 72nd Avenue. You can come down today and talk to Darlene. She'll walk you through one of these beautiful villas. You can enjoy some snacks, some fruit, some Timbits if you like, some chips, and enjoy a cold drink and have a look around at what Wellings has to offer. They've broken ground on that clubhouse, and they're starting to put the pickleball court in as well. So Wellings is a community within a community. You really should see it for yourself. We're going to be talking to the VP of Wellings of Lloydminster in just a few moments. We do want to let you know that the new Lloydminster Nissan is now located on Highway 17 South in our brand new building, and this is the last chance for you to take advantage of vehicles at $59 a month. Whether you're looking for a new or pre-owned ride, get down to the new Lloydminster Nissan and check out some great deals. We all know the end of the month is the best time to buy a vehicle. Plus, right now you can get into one at just $59 a month. Check it out at the new Lloydminster Nissan. And we're very excited to be here at Wellings of Lloydminster again today. And once again, just extend that you're welcome to come down and check it out for yourself. We're excited to be here. And Bill Stewart is the VP of Operations. He'll be joining us very shortly. We've got some questions to ask him, but I'm sure you've got questions as well. So we welcome you to come down to Wellings of Lloydminster for yourself today. We're also going to be visiting with Shaun Donald of the Burly Bee. We're going to find out about the bee harvest as they get into that season, or has that already passed? What is the bee situation like as we get into some colder months? We'll ask him all those questions. Plus, it's hard to believe that somebody would steal beehives, but that's what happened to the Burly Bee earlier this year. So we're going to be talking to him about that as well. Superior Water specializes in nothing but water, and with over 22 years in the business, they're proud and confident that their water and their service is superior. For iron filters, water softeners, reverse osmosis distillers, chlorine removal, and H2S odor removal, Superior Water is the place to call. 780-875-6636. You can stop in on their 57th Avenue location. They're right beside Sheepskin Loft. And stay hydrated with pure, clean water. I drink Superior Water because I like the taste. I believe it is superior. And don't forget, they also have a coin-operated location right beside 7-Eleven, just off Highway 17 South. Well, we were out yesterday to visit with the Pickford family, delivering our final, it's hard to believe, meal in the field. We had a great time at the Pickford farm, and it was a little windy, a little cool, so we went inside. They did have some drizzle in the morning, and that's the situation, right? It just keeps raining one night, and then it's okay for a couple of days, and then it rains, and they're about getting to the point where they're halfway done. But it's been a battle for some of our farmers getting out there. Hopefully we'll get a nice stretch of weather here, and they can get done. I know I've seen a few people out there saying we just need a few more days and we can get done. And like, as I mentioned, there's some that have just had too much rain to really get to that point where they're seeing a finish line yet. But we haven't wrapped up Meals in the Fields because we still have two $500 gift cards to give away. So if you nominated a farmer for Meal in the Fields, we will be entering you to win one of those $500 gift cards, and we'll make that draw next week. Lakeland College Indigenous Support Services is holding a Truth and Reconciliation powwow today at 1 o'clock in Lloydminster at the Lloydminster campus. It is open to the public and everyone is welcome for the Truth and Reconciliation Day powwow. And as we get into more activities, and the City of Lloydminster and area have done an absolutely fantastic job with activities for this. With Truth and Reconciliation Day on Monday, the Native Friendship Center will be holding their community walk at the Lloydminster City Hall, which Lori Harris told us has been well attended in the past.
And then at 1 o'clock, we're meeting at City Hall. There'll be an opening prayer. Then we're going to walk around the big civic block that goes to the and to the empty space and then around by the Legacy Center and back to City Hall. There'll be a small program. We've got the Prairie Thunder Boys, which is the LPSD drum group, which is fantastic because we really try to get the youth involved. We have lots of schools coming, and we have 4 dancers from the schools that are going to come, and they're going to demonstrate 4 different dances.
Now this weekend, you're also invited to take in Culture Days in the Culture Connections and Truth and Reconciliation Learning Experience that takes place this Saturday and Sunday at Weaver Heritage Park. It's also open Monday, and they're going to be opening it up for some schools to come through. But there will be essentially a teepee village set up with fresh bannock. Yes, Cynthia Young is making fresh bannock. Tasha Hilderman is reading her book, Métis Like Me. We had Tasha on the show earlier. There are also teepee teachings like Métis stories and then Métis Trapper's Tent. There's cultural crafts, including a sash and dream making teepee. There's all kinds of stuff. It's open to the public and it is free to attend. Open tomorrow from 11 to 3, Sunday from 10 to 2. We're not quite done with Truth and Reconciliation yet. Cadmus Delorme from the Cowessess First Nation is one of the guest speakers at this year's Economic Partnership. And you can register at Economic Partnership by visiting economicpartnership.ca. And I'll have the pleasure of sitting down for a fireside chat with Gina Jackson, the creator of Bear's Lair, at that event. And Caitlin Dertruer told us that the event is an opportunity to come together to make business connections.
This year we're starting with a 7:45 pipe ceremony, which is everyone's favorite, and then really quality speakers talking about business, business for Lloydminster, business for the region, but with that Indigenous and non-Indigenous partnership flair.
And it really is a fantastic opportunity to network and learn from each other and see some of the highlights of the Indigenous Women's Empowerment Panel as well, featuring Randy Noble, Peggy Lee, and Christine Marie. It is going to be a good event. It's once again coming up on Wednesday. Once again, we're here at Wellings of Lloydminster, 3211 72nd Street. You're invited to come down for an open house today and check out everything that Wellings has to offer for those 55 and over, a community within a community. The Lloydminster Kennel and Obedience Club is celebrating their 35th anniversary, and they have a huge dog show this weekend with the show, a vendor market, and a raffle, all starting today at the Lloydminster Exhibition. Now, admission for adults is just $2. For kids 12 and under, it is free. And you can find a judging schedule for your favorite breed on the Lloydminster Kennel and Obedience Club's Facebook page. Just click the link. They're also having a coloring contest where you stop down at the Lloydminster Public Library and kids color their picture for the dog show, drop it off at the dog show. You'll get some ice cream, and then there's prizes for different age groups as well, for ages 2 to 14. So a lot of fun happening at the Lloydminster Exhibition with animals this weekend, because they also have their rare and exotic sale happening tomorrow as well. And you remember last time they had a rare and exotic sale, we had a peacock running loose through the city for a few days. Breakfast Day with United Way is this Wednesday. Get your orders in now for breakfast, pickup, or delivery. This year, there are 2 locations to keep up with such great demand. It's been well supported in the past, so they'll be cooking, and I'm one of the volunteers, at the Olive Tree and at the Golf and Curling Center. So you can order sandwiches by clicking the Zeffy link on the United Way Facebook page. Sandwiches are just $5. You can also donate sandwiches to feed the hungry right here in our community. In recognition of Fire Prevention Week, the Lloydminster Fire Department will host an open house at Fire Station number 2 on October the 8th from 3:30 to 7:30. It's a chance to stop in and visit with the firefighters and do some hands-on training as well. Take a tour of one of the fire trucks if you would like, but they will have some demonstrations and they'll have some giveaways as well as long as supplies last. That's coming up on October the 8th. It's a Tuesday. Bounce houses, did I mention bounce houses, coloring books, all kinds of stuff there for Fire Prevention Day, which happens on Fire Prevention Week. And with October around the corner, Square Dance Lloydminster and area invite you to join them each Wednesday from 6:30 to 8:30 at the City Church in downtown Lloydminster. You can walk in on any Wednesday and take part for free. You don't need to bring a partner. You don't need to wear any fancy footwear or anything like that or dress up. It's casual dress. And if you'd like more information, you can text 780-872-2493. With the B. Fisher Foundation holding a pickleball tournament next Saturday at the Service Sports Center, they're also holding a Learn to Play pickleball event at the Service Sports Center this Sunday night. The cost is just $20. No need to pre-register. Just show up. You can learn the rules on how to play and get some samples going as well. And speaking of pickleball, they're building pickleball courts here at Wellings of Lloydminster. In fact, they hope to have those done before the end of the year here. BioClean Disaster Services is committed, certified, reliable, and will help you get your life back. BioClean Disaster Services at 1-833-246-8326. Taking care of your belongings, taking care of your property is very important for BioClean Disaster Services and for yourself. But what's more important for BioClean Disaster Services and what they really pride themselves on is taking care of you and taking care of your family and updating you on what is happening along the way. This is what we're doing. This is why we're doing it. 1-833-246-8326, Lloydminster's local restoration company. They're also Lloydminster's largest restoration company. And once again, we're here at Wellings of Lloydminster for their open house today. An invitation for you to come down to check out what Wellings has to offer. We're going to find out more of what Wellings has to offer when we come back with Bill Stewart, the VP of Operations for Wellings, in just a moment.
For 110 years, Lloydminster and District Co-op has been part of your journey. To celebrate, we're giving away a truck built to keep you moving forward. This truck is made for your life, whether you're running a business, exploring the great outdoors, or just enjoying a family road trip. It's more than just a vehicle. It's our way of appreciating you, our members. Join us in celebrating 110 years of community and take your chance to win. Lloydminster and District Co-op. Members together, growing community.
At Diamond 7 Meats, we work with local farm families to provide a high-quality product and a great selection for you. Try our mouth-watering smokies, pulled pork, roast beef, and more, made pure and natural with no additives or fillers. We offer custom processing, and our experienced team works for you to provide a selection of sausage, burgers, and jerkies made to your specifications. Take your grilling to the next level with a Yoder smoker. Complete the grilling experience with Canadian-made, award-winning line of House of Q barbecue sauces. We're locally owned and operated, and we look forward to seeing you today.
It's more than just taxes at L&A CPA. Assurance, accounting, retirement planning, estate planning, business consulting, financial consulting, farm program support, and bookkeeping. But yes, there is always taxes. The team at L&A CPA is committed to helping you achieve your best results and will be there to assist you every step of the way. L&A CPA, with offices in Provost, Vermilion, and Lloydminster.
Welcome back. We're at Wellings of Lloydminster once again, and we have with us the VP of Operations for Wellings of Lloydminster, Mr. Bill Stewart, joining us, and it is a pleasure to talk to you, sir. Thanks for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Listen, Wellings is something that I've been proud to promote for the last, 7-8 months here, and it's becoming more and more popular, but I'm always amazed at how many people don't know what Wellings is yet. Tell us, what is Wellings?
Sure. Well, the concept of Wellings has been around for decades. In fact, it's an evolving concept that we continue to do so based on feedback from our focus groups or our members. We tailor to what we call Active 55 senior living, and really our concept is about the socialization, rebuilding the socialization, because history would suggest that as we get older, we start to separate ourselves from our friends and from our community. And so what makes our concept unique is we re-engage with our community. The amenities that we put in place are all about driving that socialization and re-engaging that socialization with all our members.
I'm always amazed it took this long to bring it to Lloydminster.
Well, you know, it's interesting you say that, but in actuality, in the province of Alberta, we have 4 properties on the go. Yes, Lloydminster is certainly one that's here, and we have 66 units that we have when we have 1-bedroom and 2-bedroom units available, and the 2 bedrooms actually come with a garage. But it's not the only properties we're working on here in Alberta. We have properties in Brooks, which has just broke ground. We also have Stettler, and we have a 275 unit complex in Calgary proper, where we just had occupancy in the last couple of months.
So because it's so new to Lloydminster, people have a hard, maybe a more difficult time kind of figuring out what is care freedom living.
Right, yeah, it's a concept we're very proud of, quite frankly. And really, if you think about it, what we're trying to do is take away any responsibility that ties you to the home. So the care freedom lifestyle, as we call it, is meant to separate you from that, so you can focus in on what matters to you most. So things like your appliances, things like your outside maintenance, like cutting your grass or trimming your bushes, or even shoveling your snow. We take that all away. So we call it care freedom living. And basically the concept is to separate you from the responsibilities that you're tied to today, maybe in your current home. And now we eliminate all of that, so you can just focus in on what matters to you and what you want to do tomorrow.
And that means freedom to travel.
Freedom to travel, freedom to engage in the activities. You know, one of the big things here in Lloydminster is that we're building a 6,000 square foot clubhouse. We do it in all of our properties, quite frankly. And what it is, it's meant to be a central point of the community where we're looking for back to the socialization, back to that engagement. So you'll find things like a barbecue, you'll find a patio, you'll find a big screen TV where you and your friends of the community can actually go and watch a baseball game, a hockey game, a movie, whatever you want to do. There'll be a shuffleboard, there'll be a billiards, there'll be a full kitchen. So you can look at it as being an extension of your living room, and you can actually have family and friends and book it for events with them, and you can actually have a full-on meal and have a great time in an off-site facility, other than just having them here in your home.
It almost is. It actually is a community within a community.
It really is, yeah. And like I say, we really encourage that community build-up. In fact, one of the other components in the clubhouse is fitness activities. So there'll be fitness equipment there, and we look to book fitness activities, and we even engage with local activity people to come in and engage that type of movement and engagement between the community. It's a big focus for us.
It's kind of an old school thought, actually, isn't it?
Isn't it,
to know your neighbors?
It really is.
Yeah,
isn't it?
It kind of gets back to, I think, what a lot of people miss.
And I tell you, it's working, because on all the properties that I visit, and I visit all the 11 properties that we have across the country, and I can tell you it's working. They are engaging. There is that, and there is a desire and a need for it. And we're finding that all of our members are very, very engaged in the activities that we book. And even just as an example, just the other day I was in Waterford, and there was an event happening in the morning where there was a bunch of members together. Every Tuesday they get together and they just talk shop, what's going on in your life in the last week, and let's get up to speed. And it's amazing to walk in on that and see that actually everything that you hope is happening at the community level is actually happening at the community level.
When it comes to, you mentioned 4 properties in Alberta. Mm-hmm. What makes Lloydminster so unique?
Well, I think what makes Lloydminster so unique is it's not really that much different from our other properties. It's what we do with it. So we position our properties close to local amenities, right? And I think what's interesting about the Lloydminster concept is the way we're mapping out the property and where we're putting the clubhouse as being the central entity to the entire complex. Again, engaging back with the community. And so someone might be sitting in their home here looking outside and seeing there's a barbecue going on over at the clubhouse right now. And why am I not involved? And they'll walk over and engage. And I've seen that happen in Winchester in one of our properties, where they look out and they see something happening. That's what really, again, going back to that socialization, what makes us unique, the amenities that we offer in terms of some of the ones I've already listed to you. It's not so much that it's unique for Lloydminster, it's just the concept is unique in the area in which we represent and where we pop up the property.
You mentioned when you look outside and you see somebody over there and they're barbecuing, you get to know your neighbors and stuff. You know, if you're living in a large house and you're traveling a lot, there's a lot of things to worry about.
Oh, that's
this
just
really
it.
does just eliminate.
Yeah, who's coming to watch your place in the wintertime when you take off the
Are
Florida?
they actually doing it?
Yeah, exactly. Are they actually doing it? Do they do it the way you do it? Are they being as detailed in terms of looking at the hot water tank, or are they the other components of your home? This is something you just don't have to worry about it. It's done. It's taken care of. So we as I say, we take care of all the maintenance components to your lifestyle. It's so we can allow you to have that care freedom lifestyle that we so entrench into each of the members that we represent.
That maintenance free. Like
Oh, yeah.
when you talk about maintenance free, that consumes so much,
Doesn't it?
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like it consumes so
Absolutely.
much time, and it actually.
Did you call the fridge repairman today?
Well, that's exactly what I was going to say. What happens if my stove breaks down? What
Exactly.
happens if my microwave won't?
It's a phone call.
It's a phone
right? And we take care of it. It's that simple. Yeah. So you're not having to take on that burden. We take on that burden for you. We make the phone call. If we can't fix the problem, we'll replace it. It's that simple. It's a month-to-month rental here is what we're doing at all our properties. And if that breaks down, then that's something that's a responsibility for us. It's not your responsibility.
Well, I want to talk to you about that too, because we do talk about people with health. You know, I say my back, I can't, like you and I both have back problems.
Right.
So if somebody's, if it snows in April, like I might be able to shovel a little bit in February, but if it snows in April, that's heavy, wet snow.
Yeah.
Like I can't do it. My back is not going to.
And nor do we expect you to do that either,
Yeah.
right? So we have contracts with all the local providers. They're local people that are actually doing the work here for us. It's not being done by any outside agency outside of the province of Alberta or anything of that nature. These are local Lloydminster representatives that will actually come in and will do that. So when it happens here in Lloydminster, it will be fixed here in Lloydminster. That's just the way it works.
But if I am starting to worry about my health bill, that month to month really comes into to effect, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely it does. Yeah, you're not tied to a long-term commitment in this particular case, right? It's a month-to-month program, and that's something that's representative here in Lloydminster for sure. Yeah.
Is that unique? Is that
No, it's
unique
not
to Wellings?
unique. No, not at all. No, it's.
I've never heard of not having to sign like a huge.
Yeah, no, not at all. No, in this particular case here in Lloydminster, it is a month-to-month program. You simply just sign up and you're good to go. So again, we're being responsive to the local community's needs, and that's ultimately what we try to do here at Wellington. As I talked about earlier, is that we are an evolving concept, right? So between our focus groups, we stay tight and engage with these individuals. We learn, and that's ideally what we want. Each year, we want to get better at what we do. That's basically the concept.
And can I just compliment you on the people that you have here? Like Darlene, the first time I came in to see and take a tour of Wellings,
Right.
I think I left with like 5 Nanaimo bars. Like if you want to take a tour, like Darlene is awesome.
Oh, she's amazing.
Like I know we've got the open house going on and stuff like that, but really when it comes to one-on-one, you know, we talk about community, but Darlene is fantastic to
You know what? My
just
mom-
call up and walk through.
It's true. My mom has a name for individuals like Darlene, and by the way, my mother's name was Darlene. She's a giver, right?
Yeah.
She's worried more about the person on the other side of the island than she is about herself.
Yeah.
Right? She's done the same thing whenever I come in to visit. She's got a big spread out, whether it's donuts or cookies or candy bars or meats. It's just the way she is. She's a total giver, and she ultimately cares about every single member here at Lloydminster for sure.
So we invite you to come down to Wellings today. Get down to Wellings of Lloydminster today. And if Darlene is busy, I tell you, you're going to have a chance to talk to her anyway, and you will be able to set up a private tour. Okay, so don't hesitate to do that. And speaking of the open house, Bill, any promotions or anything going on right now with Wellings?
Yes, as a matter of fact, and yes, thank you for encouraging people to come down. That's one thing, you have to come down and you have to walk through. You have to see what makes us unique and different. You're going to see a strong, contemporary, modern look and feel here, right? But you're right, we do have a promotion in place. We're actually doing move-in credit, so we allow you to do up to $1,000 in move-in credit, as well as we give you a month for free. So so it's a very lucrative offer for if you're interested in changing and getting into a care freedom lifestyle. Now's the time to do it.
Well, and you know, I mentioned that when I came and I talked to Darlene, and she's got Nanaimo bars and all kinds of squares there. It was awesome. But we're sitting there talking, and all of a sudden my feet are like, hey, that feels good. The in-floor heating is awesome.
That's awesome.
It really is.
Yeah, it really is. It actually, and it reduces overall costs on your energy consumption as well, because it's radiating from the floor up, and it's just a comfortable place to be. And as here, you don't notice some of those areas where there's cold zones inside your home. Those are almost immediately removed by doing the lower level floor heating. It's absolutely unbelievable. More consistent.
I just assumed that they all had high ceilings as well. That's not the case.
No. It varies by property, but you'll see in this particular one here, the space is with the larger height of the ceiling gives you a lot more open space. Yeah.
And that's perfect for having family over too.
Yeah.
If I want to have a Christmas tree.
Absolutely.
You have a Christmas tree. And that's the whole thing. I've been using the word independent. Bill, is that a good word? Like, should I be using independent?
You can use independent. I think it's a good descriptor of this type of lifestyle living. We use care freedom living as part of or active 55, because the one thing we find is that unlike a retirement where we consider that to be a care zone, right, where there's a requirement for care, our concept is about individuals who are looking to have an active lifestyle and a care freedom lifestyle. And our whole concept is built around that, as we talked about the amenities that we've created as a brand and the type of activities that we look to engage with our members, not only our team, but any of our members within our members. We look for them to engage and socialize. And that's really what the concept's built on. Yeah.
You mentioned it's almost a townhouse. It's almost that townhouse feel.
Well, it is, right? I mean, it's not a single room, right? It's not a single room with a couple of appliances. We're talking full-on 5 appliances, including in-suite laundry, both washer and dryer. And you can see here, as you can take a look around, you can see the space is open, it's inviting, it's welcoming, it's engaging, and you feel incredibly comfortable. It feels very spacious. And that's a lot different than traditional senior living. At least what you and I would see if our parents were growing up into, right?
That's why I can't believe it took so long.
I know.
I'm kind of actually jealous that I didn't think of it, actually.
I can't help you out with that.
You know, I did mention the garage, though. Like, that's an important piece. There's a lot of people don't want to give up their vehicle.
Strong demand for the garages, yeah. And we have it in all the 2 bedrooms here at Lloydminster. They all come with the garage.
Yeah, definitely. We don't have a lot of public transportation here in Lloydminster. That's one thing that keeps us. So there's parking in front of your villa. There's also the garage. But one of the things that Darlene and I had talked about is a lot of guys use that garage not to park their vehicle in, but as a workshop.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm one of those guys. I spend a lot of time in my garage.
Hobbies. Yeah, absolutely. And we encourage that to take place, right? Whether you park a motor vehicle in there or you use it for your wood shop, we don't care. Model, trains, whatever you want, that's fine. Whatever, it's your space, right? Use it as you see fit. Yeah.
What am I forgetting, Bill? What am I forgetting to mention?
Other than come down. I mean, really come down and take a look. Come down and meet Darlene. Allow her to take you for a tour. See the facility. See what we're building here. It's really interesting. And as I say, the clubhouse is already started. The foundation is getting laid. It's expected to be built by the spring of next year. And it's going to be an incredibly inviting area to the community that will only engage and I think, again, inspire and get our members to engage in socializing for sure.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Much appreciated. Yeah, pleasure to meet you.
Thank you. Let's take a break. We'll come back in just a moment.
At Jason Arden & Associates Cooperators, we're proud to be a top-rated local insurance company that offers flexible solutions and expert advice for all your insurance and investment needs. We'll work with you to tailor your insurance specific to your needs, and we offer investment advice that always puts you first. At Cooperators, one of our core values is to give back to the communities that we live in. Thanks to the support of our clients in Lloydminster and area, in 2023, Jason Arden & Associates has donated $40,000 to local nonprofits, charities, students, athletes, and other special events. How does your insurance company support our community?
How can you help support the oil and gas industry and jobs in Western Canada? The answer is closer than you think. Sell your scrap metals to PWM Steel. PWM sells scrap iron to Evraz, located in Regina. Evraz's #1 customer is the energy sector, building pipes and plates for the oil and gas industry. PWM Steel is your locally owned metal recycler and steel service center in the area. Plus, they're a strong supporter of the community. PWM Steel, your top steel supplier for Alberta and Saskatchewan for 40 years.
At CK McKean Roofing, they understand what it took to put that roof over your head for your family. With over 20 years of experience under their belt, they strive to show you that with their workmanship and their integrity. Not all roofing companies are created equal, and that's why CK McKean Roofing encourages you to focus on your most important investments, your home and your family. CK McKean Roofing. Roofers do it on top.
Welcome back to Wellings of Lloydminster. The open house is on today, 3211 72nd Avenue. You're invited to come down today and have a look through. There's some snacks, and they've actually started to build that clubhouse and the pickleball court as well. But there's lots of parking, and if you'd like to come in and visit with Darlene, she'll walk you through one of these beautiful villas. There's 1- and 2-bedroom villas. Some of the 2-bedroom villas have garages, And if you want to have a pet, you can have a pet. And I know you have a lot of questions to ask about what Wellings is all about, being a community in a community. And I know we didn't get to all of them with Brian Stewart. So Darlene has some of those answers as well that you might be thinking. And maybe you've got a different situation that has come up with you and your family. Well, just come down to Wellings today again, 3211 72nd Street, and visit with Darlene. She's here till 5 o'clock today, 10 till 2 tomorrow. And we are excited to welcome Shaun Donald to the program, something we've been trying to do for a while now, but Shaun actually works. He's a school teacher, so he works during most of the hours that we're live, so it's great to finally connect with you, Shaun. Shaun is with the Burly Bee, and it's great to finally connect, so thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you very much for inviting me.
So, Shaun, how does a person get into bees? Like, how did you, what attracted you to getting into creating the Burly Bee?
I guess everybody gets into different things, different reasons. I actually got into it because of school. So at the time, myself and a couple other teachers were looking to come up with some programming for an eco program, a special class that we we're going to be running at ES Laird. That was 9 years ago, and we went to a session at PV Mart, all about bees and what they were, and it was absolutely fascinating. Myself and another teacher were really intrigued with it, and so we were like, okay, let's bring it to the school. So we started it at the school, and then I've just kept getting more and more involved in it, and went from 4 hives to 10 to now I'm at 50 hives. So I've caught the bug, if you will.
Yeah, 50 hives. So, like, what is your time commitment when it comes to bees? Like, what's it like farming bees?
It's a challenging question, I guess. Like, it starts in February when we start checking the bees, unwrapping looking at the bees to see how many colonies made it through the winter, start giving them sugar to get them built up so that once the flowers do arrive, there's already a strong colony there ready to go out. And then throughout the summer, you're constantly checking the bees, doing some inspections, splitting hives to make new hives. Then you start doing your extraction. And yeah, how much time does it take? It takes quite a bit of time. I've tried logging it over the last couple of years, and I keep honestly losing track of it and forgetting to log hours, but it's quite a few. I wouldn't hazard to guess how much.
How did you start? Like, how many did you start with? You're saying you have 50 hives now. How many did you start with?
I started with 4 because we got them for the school program and looked after them for a year. And in that year, with students coming out and looking at the bees and stuff like that, I started finding it so fascinating. So I got some more hives, split it into 10, and then from there, discussions with my wife, made some plans for a business proposal and how we would actually make this as a business to sell honey, because it's too expensive as a hobby. Way too expensive as a hobby. When you get 10 hives, like 4 hives, you can do it as a hobby, but after that, it gets to be a lot. So we just, made plans, started splitting things, and away we went.
Did you get your bees at PV Mart too? Like, where did you get your bees?
At the time, you could. I actually go through a place out of Clavette in Saskatchewan, so just by Saskatoon. And they're a second-generation bee family. Simon and his brother now run it. It's called Hives to Honey, and they run almost 4,000 hives. And then they do a whole bunch of honey packing and all that sort of stuff. So most of my supplies come from there, and then he's been a great mentor in helping me out. And anytime I've had issues, call him up, or the provincial apiist out of Prince Albert, and they've been great help with what to do.
Is it expensive to buy bees, or is it the actual hives that are the what's the biggest expense?
The biggest expense is probably the machinery to extract the honey. Getting the bees, when you start out, it's expensive. Getting all the boxes and stuff, because a brand new hive, you're looking at like $650 for a hive with the bees in it. Then you can buy boxes of bees, and you can buy nukes, which is 5 little frames, so it's much smaller. They all have different prices, but like anything, the startup is expensive. Running it is then, like most things, there's always a maintenance and always things you gotta add into it every so often.
So we've heard how important bees are and how they've been reduced in population. Did that have something to do with you wanting to get into it too?
Honestly, no. It's certainly come into the forefront now with learning more about bees and seeing how much they pollinate and seeing how much it's affected the area around us, and learning the science in farming, like how bee colonies can raise canola crops by about 20% production. So some of that stuff has been absolutely staggering to learn. And I've been learning that dealing with the students and trying to teach the students about pollination and bees. And so I've learned a lot more doing it with the school than I thought I would either. So
when it comes to bees, I think people are just like, it's not an easy thing to think about, like, because you have to get dressed up all the time. For you, where you have these bees, are you like constantly dressing up to go see them? Like, how scary is it to, like, how nervous were you when you first got into bees? That, oh, like, these things can, I can get stung. I can get seriously hurt here.
Yeah, the first couple times we went, like I've done a couple of courses in Saskatoon, and the first couple of times around bees, like totally suited up, and we didn't quite like duct tape everything, but thought about it a couple of times. And then you get used to it and realize if you're careful around the bees, if you're gentle around the bees, they actually, somehow they sense, like if you're nervous when you go into the bees, they're agitated. When you go in nice and calm, they're calm. So it's actually been very therapeutic going in with the bees. And so working with the bees has certainly helped me to calm down and relax. And so now I'm not nervous around them at all. Like having thousands of bees flying around me, I don't even notice them.
Well, I guess when you tell kids, you're like, just if one comes around, it's just stay calm. I guess that's the truth of it.
It right? Really is, yeah.
What, like, now is the harvest season for farmers. When's the harvest season for bees, for honey?
Our main harvest season is going to be in July. We start sometimes in June with some honey flow of some of our early flowers, crocuses, some of the stuff from the poplars and willows. But then around here, because of canola, when the canola blooms, that is a major honey crop for us. The bees absolutely love canola, and canola loves bees. So we bring in lots of honey, lots of wax during the canola time. So right after canola is done flowering is our huge honey crop around here. And then it goes sometimes until late August,
okay.
Depending on the season. So if there's flowers out, we're still getting honey.
So your bees come and go. They just come and go from the hive?
Yep.
So they're like, how's that work? Like, I'm curious how that, like, how bees, like what their lifespan is, what their season is like, because we've all seen wasps around lately. Like, there's been a ton of wasps, and people are like, yeah, that's because, you know, they're done with the wasp. They're done serving the queen now, and they're off doing their own thing. So I'm wondering what the difference is with bees.
Well, bees right now, what they're doing is they're packing in as much honey as they can for the winter time. And the queens slow down how much she lays eggs. During the summertime, she can lay over 1,500 eggs a day. Right now, she's going to be down to like 400 or so. Just slowly putting some eggs to keep the population going, and then she almost stops in the wintertime. Once the sun isn't up very much, the bees, they don't go to sleep, but they stay in their hive, and they actually keep the hive warm. So they keep the inside of it about 35 degrees all winter long.
Okay.
To keep the queen warm, but also to keep each other warm. And so all the honey that they've collected, they move around the hive and eat that in a big, huge cluster that moves through the hive. And then in the springtime, once the sun starts to warm things up and there's flowers out, the bees start to go out and start investigating, well, where's their pollen for us? Where's some sources for us to get some food? And then they start really ramping up, and by June, a colony has about 80 to 100,000 bees in it. And in the wintertime, you're down to about 20,000.
What do you have to do to prepare for winter?
So right now what we're doing is going to our hives, helping to make sure that they've got enough food. So we actually put sugar syrup on there because they've built up all this honey and then we've stolen it.
Take it away.
we took it away. So all their stores for the winter time, they don't have anymore. So we have to supplement it. So we got to give them something so they can survive the winter. So we give them sugar syrup. We do any treatments that need to be doing because bees have diseases and viruses and mites and all that sort of stuff that affects them. So we got to help treat for that. And then we start wrapping up the hive. So there's many different processes of doing it. I wrap my hive. So my hives stay in the place in their field, and we put a special insulated wrap around them, put a really thick pillow on top, and strap them down in place. And then they stay like that for the winter time. Some other people will put hard pack around them. Some other people will lift up their bees and bring it to an indoor building. It's all in how, I guess, you've learned how to do it and how you want to.
Right. Is that what keeps the Did you say Cardiff, Saskatchewan? Where was it in Saskatchewan you got the bees from? Is that what they just have the indoor facilities?
Clavette. No,
Clavette,
they do all their hives in place as well.
Oh, okay.
So that's how I learned how to do it, and I like it, so that's how I do it too.
Because you were telling me before we sat down, you had a tough winter.
Yes. Yeah, I had a very tough winter. I went from 50 hives down to 1 hive that survived the winter. So I pretty much lost everybody this year. Usually I'll lose 3 to 5 hives, but this year, losing 49 hives was not fun.
It was a nice year, though. Like, it was we had that 1 week. So did that 1 week decimate the bees?
Lots of different factors affect it. What we kind of figure is that 1 week in January where it got super, super warm, the trees started to flower out and bud. So the bees were like, hey, it's spring. So they started going out and collecting nectar and pollen. Got back, the queen was like, okay, let's start laying some eggs. And then the next week was minus 30 and minus 40. And so then the bees had to keep those eggs and those babies warm. And so they couldn't move around their hive to collect all the honey that they had. So they actually, most of my hives starved because they couldn't move to get more energy.
You didn't want to leave the babies. So.
They didn't want to leave the babies. They couldn't, otherwise the babies would get too cold and die. And so it's a vicious cycle, I guess.
So when you go out and you check your bees in the spring, it's like, oh man,
Yeah, it was weird being, I guess you'd say, emotional over an insect.
Yeah.
But going over, I mean, because I spend so much time trying to look after the bees and giving them the best that I can provide for them, and then having them all dead by something that you couldn't do anything about was heartbreaking. Going through and opening up box after box and just finding a dead cluster of bees was, it was not a good couple of days.
No, I bet. So then you restock, you repile. Is that a major cost?
Yeah, it was quite an investment this year. I had some friends who had some hives, so they graciously let me split some hives. So go to their hive, take out a couple of frames with some eggs and some babies in it to make a new hive. Buy some new queens. I also had to buy some new small colonies. A couple places in town. There's a person in town who donated a hive to me. Fourth Meridian donated 2 hives for me. So there's some people in the community who stepped up and helped out a lot to help me get me back up on my feet. So that was absolutely wonderful.
Should mention you're going to be at Fourth Meridian for Oktoberfest here.
Yeah, tomorrow. From 2 till 7 is their Oktoberfest out in front of the Fourth.
Yeah, that's I should have had that into our news at the beginning of the event. There's so much going on.
There is.
Yes, there's so much going on. But yeah, Oktoberfest tomorrow already. So you also, as if that isn't bad enough, you had somebody steal some bees. Now, I when I heard that, I was like, I've never heard of that before. I can't believe anybody would do it.
Yeah,
it's kind of like it's kind of gutsy, isn't it, to steal bees?
I think it's extremely good. I'd never heard of it in this area at all. Like through this huge network of beekeepers around here, I've never heard of it. Down in the States where they're moving thousands of bees with forklifts and stuff like that, there's some challenges that go on with that, I'm sure. And you hear about that. But up here with just small yards and stuff, somebody drove into the yard, went through the fence, chucked a whole bunch of bees onto the back of their truck, took the honey boxes, and drove out.
So they would physically be able to just lift them?
Yeah, like one of those boxes when it's full of honey is about 100 pounds.
Okay.
With a couple of dollies, with a couple of people, I mean, you can move it quick. That's how, I mean, we do it all by hand.
Yeah.
But yeah, to go into the yard and do that, I was extremely shocked because it actually happened the day before I was going to harvest. So I had a friend who drove by there on Wednesday night and saw the bees, and then the next evening I went there, or next afternoon I went there to start taking out the honey boxes, and got in there and hives were knocked over and half the hives were gone and the boxes were gone and the fence was pushed over, big tire tracks into it, and I was extremely shocked.
Well, so. Do you suspect that this would be somebody who has other bees, or would it be somebody who's like, hey, we can harvest that honey and where would you sell it?
Well, it'd be somebody who'd have to know something about bees, or they did some looking up on YouTube, because you can learn anything on YouTube nowadays, I guess.
Suppose,
But yeah, because they also took hives. If they just took the honey, I'd be like, okay, because you can just squish that down and the honey drips out of it, so you can process the honey that way. But to actually take the live bees too, yeah. And the RCMP have been looking into it, and I've actually had a lot of feedback off of my my social media. Quite a few people supporting from actually all across Alberta, Saskatchewan, into Manitoba. I've had people contacting me. A couple people have contacted me with some tips or suspicions, and I've sent them on to the RCMP and let them deal with it. And yeah, we're just seeing where it goes.
How many hives did you have stolen?
6.
6. So 600 pounds of...
Yeah, and with honey boxes and stuff like that as well, so...
Yeah. So you mentioned that you'd have equipment to take that. That's one of the biggest expenses, is having the equipment to extract that honey. What if you didn't have that equipment? Could you still get, like, you just wouldn't get as much honey out? Or?
Yeah, it would be a lot messier. Some people use like a simple press. So literally if you just take the comb and you scrape all the comb off of the frames inside, and then you put it into a press and squeeze it down, the honey comes squeezing out of it.
Right.
I use a centrifuge. So we open up the caps of the honey and put the big frames in there and spin it around really fast for about 7 minutes. And all the honey spins out to the wall and then collects at the bottom.
How much honey would they have gotten if they did that?
If those boxes were all full, because there's about 12 boxes, so I look at about almost 50 to 60 pounds per box.
Okay.
So you'd be looking at like 700-800 pounds worth of honey.
Right. How many dollars does that translate? Because I saw your post and you said somebody's going to be very well off. Like, this is because all your expense.
Yeah, all my work, all the bees' work, and all my equipment. Yeah, it's thousands of dollars worth of honey. Because putting into the jars in different sizes depending on how you sell it. But
if you can sell it, like I
and yeah, I don't know where you...
Black market honey, is that like, is that...
I guess there's going to be a black market for honey now.
There has to be, yeah.
Yeah. But so now I've got to figure out, I've got to change that yard. Like, I've taken everything out of that yard and moved it.
Right. Get me once, you won't get me again.
Yeah. And then I guess, unfortunately, like a lot of things, I've got to put up security measures around my yards now. So I'm going to have to get some trail cameras and some stuff like that to just try and help discourage people from going there.
Some security.
Yeah, and I don't know, solar lights that turn on when somebody comes in the yard at night, so that I don't know. Like, I've never thought of having to secure my bee yard, because most people look at a bee yard and go, "Oh, okay, I'll just stay away from that. I'm not going in there."
Yeah. Where do you sell your honey?
I've got a couple of places here in town. There's 2 downtown. The Lloyd Museum, off in Vermilion, at the Cheesery, and at the Underground Treasures downtown. And then I do a lot of stuff privately. People call me up, they contact me through the website. And then I go to some of the large markets in town, so like the Christmas Craft Show. I do a lot of stuff with the Fourth, because they use my honey for their seltzers.
That's pretty cool.
So we made that relationship quite a few years ago, and it's been fantastic getting to work with them, because they're very community minded. So they use my honey, and then I go to their markets and stuff like that. So a lot of it's mostly private, but I've got a couple in some of the stores around town here.
That's awesome. Has this discouraged you at all from doing it, or I'm going to build it back up, I'll keep on going?
Yeah, I'm going to build it back up and keep on going. It's discouraged me just in
the faith in humanity.
That was just a low blow, especially after this year of, because that yard was actually the yard where I'd had my donated hives, and so they were building up quick and getting the honey so I could have more honey for the year. But yeah, that's gone.
What are your stocks like? Like is Burly Bee honey going to be rare this year? Because
it's going to be not as, I don't have as much as I would, because I was replenishing my bees this year anyway, so I wasn't going to make near the same honey that I was going to. But I still have a good amount, because I tried to expand and making sure that I have reserves, so that if a place needs more honey, I always have it for them, because once you're done extracting, you can't get it. Right. So I can only get a certain amount every year. I usually bring in about 4 tons of honey. And yeah, that's it. So that's got to survive me from the fall all the way till the next fall.
Right. So, well, and what would you suggest people look for if they wanted to help you out? Like you said, you've got some tips and stuff. Like, in like not just a fridge full of honey, but like you know, you go to your neighbors and they got all this. Hey, where'd you get the honey? Like, or they got bees in their yard.
Yeah, I mean, I'd imagine most people who are trying to sell honey know a bit about honey. So if a person, I guess, seems a bit sketch trying to sell honey, and they're just like, yeah, I got this. I don't know.
It's in a sour cream container. You might have
it's not labeled very well, maybe, I guess. But then, like all my bee boxes, my honey boxes are all like sky blue. And I've tried doing that for myself just so I could keep track of which boxes go where. But then I also, my eco class a few years ago, hand painted some of the boxes. So the class had a project where they had to come up with some queen in history, and then they painted 2 boxes to represent that queen. So some of those boxes were among the ones that got stolen. So they're hand painted by students of my class a couple years ago.
Okay.
So they probably stand out a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. They would have had to, like you said, paint them over.
Well, and that's the unfortunate thing is, I mean, people can just literally take a brush and paint over it pretty quickly.
Yeah.
The bees aren't going to like you for doing that, because the smell of that is going to, the bees really do not like the smell of fresh paint.
Yeah.
So they'll go after you. But if you've already stolen them, then I guess you're up for that. I don't know.
Do you still do a lot with students and the bees? Like, do you still...
I try to. This year I've moved away from ES Laird. I'm now at the comp with the expansion and the grade 9s moving up to the high school, and now I'm actually looking after the grade 9 wood shop and advanced art. So I'm not doing the Eco 9 program anymore, but I'm hoping over the next couple of years to bring in some programs or to work with some other people at the school, because I think it's very important for students to learn, but also the students are fascinated by it and they love it. And anytime I've brought my classes out to our farm to look at the bees, they're fascinated and they love it. And we bring the honey boxes into the school, and we've extracted honey in the classroom and learned a few things from that. We put sheets down the last couple of years. We did that. But they love it, and then they go home and they've got a jar of honey, and then we use it as a fundraiser for the class as well. As the students looked after the bees and they extracted this honey, so then they had jars, and any place we went to in town, they'd give a little thank you of a jar of honey that the students had prepared themselves. So it was a great thing in a program, and so I'd love to bring that back in some capacity.
I imagine that this is the question you get the most from the kids. How often do you get stung?
Most of the times when I rush things, if I go too fast, or like you pick up a box of bees and you put it against your stomach just to turn, and there's some on the edge, then they'll sting you. Because as soon as you squish a bee, the stinger automatically comes out. Right. I don't often get stung, to be frightfully honest. A couple times, maybe a dozen times in a year, depending on how I'm doing things. But that day that I went into that bee yard that had been attacked or robbed, I guess, the bees were not happy, and I probably got more than 50 stings that day.
50?
They were clinging to me everywhere. They were so mad because their hives were tipped over, and so now they're open to the air. They've got no heat. They've got no protection. So trying to lift them up and get their frames back in order and put them all back into the box,
You're dressed all in your white.
Oh yeah, and
they still sting.
They can sting through that, but you just move it, and then the stinger comes out. And they usually don't get as thick, but you also have like openings at your cuffs, or my ankles, unfortunately, were a little too exposed. Because I was going there to take honey, I wasn't expecting to have to move hives around. Right. So yeah, my ankles were a little sore for the next 2 weeks, actually. Most of the times when they sting me, I'm pretty used to it now, like 5 minutes later, and I don't it's done for me. A wasp, on the other hand, wasps and hornets, oh man. The days those lasts, whereas the bees it just goes away for me, but the hornets and wasps,
it goes away for you. I don't know. It's been a long time since I got stung by a bee. I think I was a kid the last time a bee stung me. Wasps, yeah.
Well, a lot of people say, I got stung by a bee, but most times it's going to be a wasp or a hornet, because if it's stung by a bee, there's actually like the stinger stuck in you, and so you can tell right away it's an actual honeybee. Whereas most times honeybees don't sting. They really try not to.
But is it true? Like you always hear people say, well, they won't sting you because they'll die.
Well, and again, it's their last defense. Because even if I go into a hive, into my yard, if I don't have any clothing, if I don't have any of my bee suit on, I've gone into a hive like this before. And if you're calm and quiet and you've got your smoke and you're dealing with them, they don't tend to bother you. And the first thing that they do is the hive starts to get restless, so you can hear the hive getting buzzy, and then they actually start to fly out and they'll fly towards your face. Like they'll almost bounce off of you. And that's kind of like them just saying like, it's time for you to go.
Right.
And then once they start doing that, you know that they're upset. And if you pack them up and leave, then they're fine. But like anything, if you keep poking it, then they're eventually going to sting. But
Must be a rush. Must be an energy rush too.
sometimes, I got to tell you, it's pretty when you're full suited out, and then there's a bee that is inside your mesh and flying around inside. That kind of gives you a little bit.
Oh
of a
yeah,
rush.
I can imagine. I got stung by a wasp once in the eye. So got in between my glasses, my sunglasses, and yeah. And do you when you get stung by a bee? I guess it depends on the person how much you swell up, right?
Totally dependent on the person.
Yeah.
Some people swell up huge. Some people, like myself, there's a little red mark for, like I said, 5,
Kinda
maybe
like
10 minutes, like a mosquito bite to me. You still feel it, like there's still the needle that goes in, but and I'm usually like, I know that it's usually my fault, so I'm usually pretty apologetic to the girls. I'm like, I squished you in my arm, I'm sorry. So, because it is, if you're doing this stuff, I mean, you're invading their territory, so it is your fault usually.
Like you say, you get to know, like you get emotional over insects. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
What am I forgetting to ask?
Well, I think a big thing for people to know, like if they are interested in bees, one, there's hundreds of species of bees in Lloydminster, in Alberta and Saskatchewan. Honeybees are one of them. They're great for crops. A big thing is just being careful with, especially in the farms, pesticides and stuff when the flowers are in bloom. If it's before or after, it doesn't affect the bees as much. But if people spray when the flowers are out, it really decimates the bees. But then if people are interested in learning more about bees, I mean, there's lots of people in the community. There's 3 or 4 people in town who have bees that I know of, like in the city of Lloyd, that have beehives. And then there's about 15 or 20 other beekeepers around town that look after bees. So lots of people who are more than happy to talk and ask questions and answer things. And if people are interested in getting into beekeeping, I'm always willing to help and show people what to do and help them along the way. So
thanks, Shaun. Appreciate this.
You're very welcome.
That's Shaun Donald with Burly Bee. And once again, he'll be at 4th Meridian tomorrow for the Oktoberfest celebration, starting at 2 and running till 7 o'clock, right in front of 4th Meridian. And we're here at Wellings, and Darlene will be here till 5 o'clock. It is an open house, so feel free to come in and take a look around. This is one of the showcase pieces that we are in right now. But next door, Darlene also has some snacks and some cool drinks. And so if you've been thinking about not necessarily taking that next step to downsize, but to actually kind of coordinate so that you can have more freedom, then Wellings of Lloydminster may be perfect for you. You can stop in and have a look at the 1 or 2 bedroom villas today. Got in-floor heating, air conditioning, of course. The clubhouse is being built, and I can sit here and tell you about it all day long, but it is an open house. Come down, see it for yourself. 3211 72nd Street today till 5, and then tomorrow from 10 until 2. And Shaun's got to run because he's got lunch with Rachel Lambert from Lambert Travel, and we're going to be talking to Rachel on Tuesday. We've got a big announcement coming up on Tuesday. We're partnering with Lambert Travel for something special, so we'll have that for you Tuesday morning at 10 o'clock. We'll be back at the new Lloydminster Nissan.